Not long now until the start of the Tokyo Olympic Games. It's a hugely exciting time for sports fans. We finally have this amazing event to look forward to. But for the athletes that are looking to qualify, it's still a couple of nervy weeks ahead to make sure they get their ticket to the incredible event. One such person is swimmer Sierra Schmidt. Now, Sierra is new to the MatchKit platform. She has been a Pan American gold medalist, 5-time USA national team member, 6-time NCAA All-American, Junior World Championship gold medalist, and a 2-time World University Games bronze medalist. She joins us today, so let's get into it. You're listening to the MatchKitCast with me, Ben Karpinski, bringing you closer to the athletes on the MatchKit.co platform. Hi, Sierra. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So it's an exciting time because obviously last year was meant to be a big thing for USA swimming, going to the Olympics. You guys are a dominant force, always have been historically. The big hold because of the pandemic. 2021, so green lights again. Things are looking pretty good towards that. How's the year been so far as making progress in your preparations towards your goals?
I think it's been a long year for everyone. It's been challenging, especially with shutdowns. I was actually finishing my senior year at Michigan. So there was a lot of stress with that because of constant testing. We didn't know if we were going to have our championship meets. But we got through it. And I think, one of the biggest things that came out of the pandemic is I think it reminded, at least me, why I'm doing sport, especially swimming, and kind of what are the things that I really want to accomplish in my career. So I think it was really kind of a good time to reflect on kind of why I'm in the sport.
So obviously this has been something that you've been very passionate about for quite a long time. When did swimming actually begin for you when it was a sport you tried for the first time?
So I was born in Arizona, and my parents put me into swim lessons, unfortunately, because there's a high drowning rate of young kids. So my parents wanted to make sure that I had all the skills that I needed to have, especially in the pool. And I think from there, I did summer league, and I really liked the social aspect, obviously, but just kind of swimming in general, I think, just really was something fun and something that, I saw myself doing pretty good at. And then from there, I started really swimming seriously.
Now, when you say swimming seriously, obviously as you get older, we all hit our teenage years. Life does change. We get distracted. Certain things happen. We finish school, high school, whatever it may be. And then we go different ways. Like what made you want to really kind of pursue swimming as something that you really enjoyed? Was it just because you were so good at it, or was it just something that you felt added so much to your days?
I think it was a little bit of both for me. Kind of the decision I made was actually in middle school because I had done ballet for a number of years, and I finally got to a point where I had to decide between, do I want to continue doing ballet, or do I really want to take swimming seriously? And for me, even through all the grinding, I found that it was something that I genuinely enjoyed. I enjoyed the racing. I enjoyed especially racing people that I knew very well. I liked the challenge of just pushing your body to the limit in that aspect. So at that point, I decided, okay, I think I want to focus on swimming. And from there, I kind of just focused completely on swimming.
We kind of know like globally, if you want to do really well in certain sports, the whole US college system is where you want to be. Obviously using golf as an example, if you want to make great strides as you go into professional kind of age group, then the college setup gives you so many amazing opportunities. When you joined and you went to University of Michigan, how focused were you on that professional transition? And how focused is the sort of program there? Or is it very much kind of like a wait and see as to see you develop through the ranks?
Yeah, I mean, I think, at that point in my swimming career, I had been on the national team multiple times. I had been a Pan Am gold medalist at that point. And for me, Michigan has a legendary distance program, so I knew that um, it would, even though I was bringing a lot of experience to the program had a lot to teach me. And that's something that I think is really interesting about the college system is that each program has different ways that they um, teach the swimmers, not just skills in the pool, but life skills, and I think that that was something that I think really brought me to the next level.
Now, you mentioned that distance swimming. So obviously that is your forte. That is your specialty there. Again, it's like you were very involved in ballet and you went to distance swimming. So clearly you don't mind the hard sports. You don't mind the challenges, do you? When it comes to training, like how different is it that, obviously when you're training more for the sort of stamina in your events, how different is the swimming training between that and the sort of shorter disciplines?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of grinding. We have to do the way that swimmers usually describe it is that um, sprint, kind of the shorter events, is much more a sharp pain, where it's going to hurt really, really bad, but it's only going to be for a shorter amount of time. Distance swimming is much more a grinding pain where it's not going to hit you within the first 100, but by the time you hit 1,100 yards, you're really going to be feeling it. So, because of that, our training has to simulate that grinding pain so that when we get to the distance race, we know what that pain is and we know how to physically and mentally kind of get over it so that we can continue swimming at the pace that we want to go.
So that would strike me as quite a mental thing. Like I have been fortunate to interview some open water swimmers because that seems to me like a whole different sort of human being. Do you have a mental process you kind of go through with that? I mean, obviously when you're training, you're grinding, as you said, to get yourself conditioned for that. How different is your mental process from the training to when it actually does come to race day?
The nice thing, especially for when you're in college, is a lot of times you're going to have training partners. And usually those training partners are going to be swimming the same races that you are. So that is a source of comfort that the people around you, you've trained with them for most of the time for years. So there is a camaraderie that kind of helps with that mental block. Um, for me, I usually look at the race as a little bit of a chess game, and that's actually why I love distance swimming so much. Is that every single distance swimmer has a different way that they swim the race. And so sometimes a lot of races you're going back and forth seeing who will make a move and then you have to respond. And so I think it's very much kind of a poker game where it's you can't let the other people know that you're in pain or that you're struggling, because then they might try to make a move.
So quite contrasting to this, if you go onto YouTube and you just type in Sierra Schmidt, you'll find some interesting sort of footage around her dance routine. So you just mentioned poker game, chess game. Are your dance moves just kind of like take the edge off before you get into the main event then? Is that just something that you use to help with stress and nerves?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I am a very anxious person actually before I get into a race. I always have been. And so the dancing is kind of a twofold operation where one side is that it actually does distract me so that once I jump into the water, um, I didn't waste energy being anxious before the race. So it kind of works in a way to focus me and make sure that I'm not overthinking once I get into the water. Um, the other way that I use the dancing is it's almost as a dynamic warm up before I get into the pool. So I know that my heart rate and my body is at the correct kind of level it needs to be, depending obviously on um, which distance I'm going. So longer races will probably be a little bit more calm dances, whereas the shorter races I'm usually trying to get my heart rate up much higher.
I find this fascinating. I really do, because everything you said that makes perfect sense to me. It's like you've got to get every single element of a race down. You can't just rock up at the start and then just in your mind say, "I want to give my best today." That's really interesting. So this year's also a big year for you because you've just turned professional. Now, I don't think people say it enough, but congrats on that, because just to get to that point, the amount of sacrifice, the discipline, the hard hours to get there really is a big thing, especially in your sport, because it's hugely competitive. And it's just a massive drain, let's be honest, on social drain, the amount of time you've been in there. Now, we know Olympics is the big thing, but like, what are your sort of initial goals as a professional swimmer now? For your average lay sports person, we see the Olympics every 4 years. We see, obviously, the swimmers dominate from the USA team. But what are the kind of goals for you career-wise going forward in the next couple of years?
I think obviously, like you said, the Olympics is kind of the big goal. It's a little bit difficult because I say difficult, but it's a great thing that the United States has such a deep tradition of distance swimming. The people that go to the Olympics usually take a medal home. So we have some of the best distance swimmers in the world in the country. That does make it highly competitive to try to make meets. Um, so I think for me, I want to just make sure that I'm continuing to swim internationally. For me, I really, really, and hopefully, once COVID is more handled, we're going to have crowds back, because that's something that I really, really enjoy. I love meeting fans, and that's something that I'm really hoping as I continue that the crowds will come back safely. And for me, I am kind of letting everything see what happens. This is one of those things where you never quite know what's going to go on, but this, you can really only do this once. So I'm kind of letting fate decide where it's going to take me. Um, but I think the sport has a lot to teach me still. And I'm looking forward to all of the lessons it's going to teach me, good and painful.
Well, with a mindset like that, I can only expect good things. But just on the immediate plan, so with regards to qualifying for Tokyo and how things progressing with USA Swimming, what are the next immediate steps for you looking ahead to that?
Yeah, so we have a our pro series next week where a lot of our national teamers, including myself, will be there. It'll be for especially for the college kids or the newly graduated college swimmers. It'll be our first kind of long course meet that we've had in almost 2 years. So we're really, really excited for that. Personally, I'm actually going to go up to the Olympic Training Center to get some altitude training. And then I'm headed to Omaha, Nebraska to try my hand at an Olympic team.
That's incredible. Well, I'm excited for you just hearing about that. So, Sierra, your career is going to take, as you say, there's going to be an interesting sort of journey and where you go with this. And hopefully soon you'll get some travel under your belt too, because that's what makes sporting careers so interesting. It's the camaraderie, meeting new people in different sort of places. What I do also find quite interesting is that you're very passionate about video production and editing. Is this something that you want to kind of combine with sport, say post your swimming career?
Absolutely. That's really one of my hopes, especially as I head into my professional career, is to find a way that I can combine my passion for swimming as well as for film. Um, I'm hoping that I can work with companies so that I can make content and really learn kind of this side of things. Um, and I'm also working with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee um, with their think tank, where we're trying to find ways to help college sports because of the pandemic. The college system has gone through quite a bit of strain. So I'm actually also working with them to try to connect athletes with their audiences better, so that we can continue, even through kind of all of the restrictions and difficulties of the COVID pandemic, still keep that connection between the athlete and their audiences alive and well.
Well, with sport evolving how it is and the more demand for that, I wish you nothing but the best with that. There is such a gap, I think. And though some sports are doing well with it, someone who is obviously on the inside like you and understands and just goes around sport like you do, there is obviously initially even just the good makings of a YouTube channel just waiting to happen, really. So if you want to see more about Sierra, obviously she's got big things happening in front of her, qualifying for the Olympics being the big one, and embarking on an incredible sporting career, no doubt. MatchKit.co/Sierra Swims. You can't miss that. It's her name _ and the word swims. Sierra, thank you so much for joining us today. We wish you nothing but the best in months to come.
Thank you so much.
Are you an athlete looking to better commercialize your career? Visit MatchKit.co and see what this unique web builder can do for your sporting profile.